Odysseus, Achilles, Aegon the Conqueror, SpongeBob and Patrick. All charged by the divine for glory, and granted strength on their path. And now the gods look to me to vanquish a great evil. I will say his name, for I have no fear of names. Erlin the Grifter, usurper of premium, master of begging. Thy end is nigh. I will carve my path into Valhalla. This has to be the last one. Look, I'm gonna miss things. In fact, I miss a lot of things, mostly because the videos I make are supposed to be more funny than anything. I don't have a million followers, so this exposure is minimal at best. Someone right now is watching this and can do better. As I said in the second video, if Erlin continues to grow, it is only a matter of time before someone bigger than Spillsesh will make something spectacular. There are people in all of our lives that do worse things than Erlin, but the difference is they don't post it on the internet. This is one of the biggest issues with this whole thing. Erlin opens himself up to a lot more criticism because he's posting this terrible shit and literally making a living off of it. And that is the problem. But he's not the first to do it. Look at all these YouTubers that made not a couple $1,000 here and there, but millions of dollars, all by doing terrible things and posting it onto the internet. The thing about Erlin, he's not a millionaire. He's not wildly successful at all, really. I mean, success is measured based on the individual, but in the first video I showed a clip of Erlin being all braggadocious about making a little bit over minimum wage by making content. To be fair, if that was true, you'd have to admit he did it. And relax, I'm not defending him, but objectively, he did it. But I think that's what really pisses people off, because on top of him making money off his own embarrassment and overall incompetence as a father, what if the majority of that income wasn't from content? What if that house he bought was actually made from a workplace insurance claim? What if there was a deep scam occurring behind the scenes? That, my friends, is the question. We'll get into it. I need to readdress something. It goes against YouTube community guidelines to talk about the abuse of Erlin's son. There are ways around it, I'm sure, but that's not the point. There is no way in hell that I'm going to be potentially benefiting from that. I'll take the probably 10 cents off of Erlin, but that's it. My first video has a clip, and that's as far as I'll go. Please bear that in mind. Making these videos aren't going to outright destroy Erlin. People have made videos on other substantially more successful people and gotten millions of views and nothing happens to those people. I see this as a mere chronicle of a brief history of the lore. I hope it brings awareness. And I'm glad people have taken comfort in watching these videos. But what if I actually begin to enjoy making content, but then I'm gonna have to be the Erlin Files guy forever? That would fucking suck. Plague to watch this guy's content forever and make the fraction of what he makes because I'm the spin-off and he's the source material. I will say, the comment section Civil War has become more hate than love, but it still baffles me how many supporters this fool has. Imagine what those people are doing in their lives. I also have to make a disclaimer that all these scams are alleged. Allegedly. There has been talks that Erlin never outright purchased his house based on public record. See, Erlin was saying this house was paid off before he got there, but people were pointing out on this form acquired by the public record it appears Erlin still owes money. But the form shows the purchase actually being from an LLC that probably then sold it to Erlin. Then after Erlin hearing about all this, decided to post this. Now I'm not sure if there's any way to validate any of this information, but take with it what you will. But honestly, the real story to me is worse. It is the beginning of Erlin's slimy tendencies. Erlin says he worked really hard every day and bought the house, but it turns out a majority of that money was actually from severance pay from a lawsuit with Pizza Hut, where he was allegedly assaulted. Hear it from the horse's mouth.
Well, anyways, here's a story about, me getting the house. So basically, like I said, I didn't record myself working every single day. I was assaulted in Pizza Hut, and then you can see right here, some guy hit me with a speaker when I was working at Pizza Hut in the forehead. And then I was on workers' compensation, and I wasn't even getting a lot, bro. I was like, what the hell? I was only getting like $700 every 2 weeks. That was caca money. I was like, what the hell? And I couldn't do anything because I was a workers' compensation. So I was getting treatment and stuff like that, and I had stitches in my forehead and all that stuff. But man, it sucked, dude. Like, it wasn't even all that good. So I was like, I only lasted like 8 months. Like, I didn't want to like continue the treatment no more. But when I tried going back to Pizza Hut, they were like, "Oh, you're a liability." So they just gave me like $13,000, and they're like, "All right, you're gone." But it doesn't matter because I was a driver, right? And then if you try being a driver in Pizza Hut right now, you can't. You can't be a driver at Pizza Hut. I don't know what states, but in California, downtown where I was working, you can't be a driver there anymore. So I guess you could say I got lucky and I left with the check, 13,000. So they only do Uber or Grubhub or DoorDash now, which I'm doing. But yeah, so I started doing that. I had $13,000 I started with.
$13,000. Okay, let's say he went and purchased a house on an FHA loan. Typically, you need 3.5% down, not to include closing costs. But if we take 3.5% of roughly $70K, which it looks like the house was listed at when the LLC bought it, he would have needed a whopping $2,450. That's some people's monthly rent or mortgage. And instead of saying he lied about it, it's actually more crazy that he bought the place to begin with. Because if he could actually afford the price of the house and pay it all outright, he could have taken that money and gotten a much better house. You'd have more security and structural soundness in an everyday apartment, which will in turn save you way more money than the money Erlin will be spending on repairs alone.
Fit pretty good already. Oh man. Both are sealed now. Just gotta put some things on the side, I think, and we should be good.
Like that.
I don't know.
Fly there.
Doesn't work.
But to each their own. Erlin is currently fighting a lawsuit against Lyft for an accident that occurred in LA while delivering food. Erlin posted the video I'm about to show you. There is no audio because the music he put over it is copyrighted, but I like jazz, so enjoy the jazz too. Erlin then went on to talk about the pain and anguish this accident put him in, but then didn't hesitate to start posting videos of him doing all these laborious ass tasks. It is said this is one of the reasons why Erlin went back to LA recently, because of this case. But being the opportunist he is, Erlin made it seem like he couldn't hack it in the Michigan life and needed to go back to LA, getting us all to comment about it. It is speculated that Erlin and Diana made money off of welfare in the state of California, since they would be considered low income. And they are actually taking advantage of this, being that they do not currently reside in Los Angeles, right? I mean, they post all kinds of videos of them in Michigan, being that they just moved there. Well, that's the thing. On paper, Erlin still lives in Los Angeles. If this is true, it is illegal. And the state of California has cracked down on this heavy since COVID and the unemployment scams that went down. And now we're going to move on to his most widely known scams, that being donations, whether in the form of GoFundMe, Cash App, Venmo. In Volume 1, we talked about him masking this as crowdsourcing for his content, whether it be equipment, cameras, kind of things like that. But it became clear that Erlin was using a lot of these proceeds for his daily life, which is against GoFundMe's policies, like I spoke about in Volume 1, mostly because he was saying that it was for one thing and then he switched it to be another thing, and he had to all around change his verbiage to include when his family has fallen upon hard times. And that's probably where I'm going to leave it for this one. Definitely more serious, a lot less funny. I'm going to go ahead and leave this super long ass comment someone left on Reddit about what they wanted to see, and I didn't hit all of them, and I'm not going to hit all of them. You know why? Because I'm tired of making these motherfucking videos. Look, I'm just a normal ass guy. There's somebody out there that can do this way better. I'm not going to be the Erlin Files guy. I refuse. I cannot do it. Please, free me. Help me. Please. Fuck, I'm gonna have to do another one.